Hello and welcome to our Grand National Forum. We've got the combined brains of Nick Watts and Ed Quigley to help us pinpoint the winner of the world's most famous race. Now we're going to start with the top two in the market, which is Prince Devotion and On His Own, who have dominated the market for some time now. But before we hear from you guys, let's hear from the trainer himself, Willie Mullins. Which would you say is your best chance in the National this year?
Well, I think if I can get Prince Devotion there in form, he's built to carry the weight, he jumps well, he's probably good enough to run in the Gold Cup, and he's the one I'd like to be riding anyway if I was a jockey, I think.
So Nick, Willie Mullins has said he'd prefer to be on Prince Devotion if he was a jockey, but you'd prefer to be on His Own. Why is that?
Well, he was going very well in the race last year when he fell at Beecher's second time. Paul Townend rode that day because Ruby Walsh had an injury. But no, he was really getting into the race. He was a bit sluggish on the first circuit. He was in the rear third of the field, but obviously he was just taking his time because he made such stealthy headway in the early part of the second circuit that by the time he arrived at Beecher's, he was running away with Paul Townend just on the heels of the leaders. Looked as though he'd play a big part in the finish. Fell there, that's where his race ended. It's slightly unlucky. It wasn't a bad mistake that he made. I think there was a bit of, there was other horses involved in the incident as well. I think it's where, according to Pete, unfortunately, came to grief as well.
Yeah, he brought it down according to Pete, didn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't think it's entirely his fault. And he had jumped well, jumped carefully prior to that. And yeah, I think he would have played a hand in the finish. Haven't seen him since then until he reappeared in the Boyne Hurdle, a Grade 2 last month, and he won that as well. I'm not sure that means a huge amount in terms of his suitability again for this race, because 1000 Stars was terrible in that race. Probably didn't take an awful lot of winning. It just shows that he's well, he's in good form, and hopefully he can maintain that. What it might mean in relation to Prince Devotion was beaten last time out in the Bobby Joe Chase. On His Own's win might persuade Ruby Walsh that that's his best chance of winning the race again. And if he does, then the 9-1 I think will disappear on the day, because all the housewives, all the once-a-year punters want to know what Ruby Walsh is riding, wants to know what AP is riding. So if Ruby is on His Own, I think you're looking about a 5-6-1 favourite. So there is a small margin in his price to still come in.
I know you're a big fan of T for 3 as well each way.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I find it very hard to split the two because I fancy both of them equally. But I think T for 3. I mean, I think he's absolutely perfect for this race. I've watched him virtually every run over fences. I don't remember him ever making a mistake. His attitude is superb. He just loves chasing. He's always looks as though he's actually searching for the next fence. He's like, where is it? Where is it? I want to jump it. And when he does, normally it's a spectacular lead. But apart from that aspect to his game, he is a very good horse as well. He won at Cheltenham last season, the festival, the 4-miler, so he has a bit of class. Second in the Welsh National, just beaten by Monbeg Dude, poor Carberry Special. And I don't think this horse is a mudlark. I don't think he needs extreme ground. He does go on it, but we saw at Haydock last time under a big weight in the Grand National trial. He actually found it hard going. The ground was atrocious that day. When he won at Cheltenham last season, it was all good. The ground will never be quick at Aintree anymore because of health and safety reasons. They'll always be well watered if it doesn't rain. So no problems on the ground at all. And I think if he does get a good ground, he'll improve massively on what he did last time. So huge player for me, T for 3 as well.
And Ed, another Irish trainer with a really strong hand in the race is Ted Walsh. He's got Colbert Station and Seabass. Could you see them up there in the finish?
Indeed. The problem I've got here is I can see about 32 of them in the finish. So he's trying to narrow down which ones you think represent the better value. What you can say about Seabass is he's obviously been there and done it to some extent. He's got half the T-shirt, jumped brilliantly last year for Katie Walsh, who gave a great spin round. So no reason why I won't be involved again. And Colbert Station just looks to be improving of all recognition. Problem is the prices don't particularly appeal for me at the moment. So I respect their claims, but I'm going to pass them over.
You think it's one for the Welsh?
Well, there's a couple in here I'm looking at, and they do is obviously England rugby fans are going to be hating me even more now. But it is St R is one I'm really interested in. It's 66-1. Okay, he almost fits the wrong criteria in the terms you need to be kind of an old warrior, an old war horse to win the Grand National. He's only 7. But he's a horse who does just appear to come alive at Aintree. He's had 3 runs here and he's won twice and finished second on his other occasion to Champion Court. The first of those was a Grade 1 win in the hurdles, and he won a handicap chase on this card last year. which incidentally was the same race Don't Push It won before going on to win the Grand National. So, okay, obviously the Aintree fences are totally different, but there is something about the configuration of Aintree, i.e. being the flat left-handed track and coinciding with some decent ground, which the horse obviously takes to. His form is skewed massively at Aintree. If you look at his runs at other tracks, specifically Cheltenham, he never fires. You bring him back to Aintree, he runs to perhaps 8, 10, even a stone higher at Aintree than any other track. It's just purely on price grounds. He's 66 to 1. He's got a nice racing weight of 10 stone 8. I presume Dickie will ride him. But anyway, I just think he, at the prices, you know, you're talking 16.5 to 1 to finish in the place. Some firms will be going top 5, and I just think for a horse who's got proven form at the track, if he takes to the fences, then he could be a big player.
Another one with proven form is Capper Bleu, of course, who ran a blinder on his trial last month. Yeah,
now this is the shorter price of the two, around the 14 to 1 mark, but Evan Williams has been laying this horse out for this race all year. This has been the plan, and I was really impressed with his run at Ascot last time out, as you mentioned, which funny enough had St. R in, because he was only beaten a couple of lengths by Vino Griego, who's one of the most improved handicappers this year. I think Vino Griego's improved £28 or something, £27 since the start of the season. So he kind of, in what was a trial, he bumped into a horse at the top of his game and still ran an absolute blinder. I think he lost nothing in defeat. He showed the fires burn. He jumped well around there last year, where he was kind of very patiently ridden, I'd say, almost given a bit too much to do. And I know he got hampered at Foyne-Avon on the first circuit and got shuffled back a little bit, which you've got to expect in a race of this nature. But he really motored in the closing stages and stayed on into 4th. Now, a little bit better lucky in running. He's only £1 higher. He's had a look around those fences. He knows his way around. And as I said, 14 to 1. He's an 11-year-old, so he fits the criteria. He will just gallop and he will stay. And I you know, wherever the winner is, I don't see him far from him. So if with a clear round, I think Capper Bleu will be up there as well. Yeah. So he'd be my other selection.
Stays all day, that horse. Well, I'm going to move on to Chicago Grey now of Gordon Elliott's, but first let's hear from Gordon Elliott himself.
Chicago obviously be probably our main one, and Backstage would be our two main horses for it. So listen, we're looking forward to it, and if they all get there in one piece, you might have as many dice to throw as you can, you know.
So Nick, can Gordon Elliott take it for a second time? Of course, he's won it before with Silver Birch. This year he's got Chicago Grey as his biggest hope, he said.
Yeah, he could do. You know, I liked Silver Birch at the time because he was a great jumper. I'm not sure Chicago Grey is that good a jumper. I've never been convinced with him, really. I watched him, you know, he's won the 4-miler at Cheltenham before, so he obviously stays very well. But I've seen him race a couple of times when he's looked a really hard ride because he just doesn't take the fences with any fluency, and he gets behind. It's very difficult to come from behind in a race like this because obviously you've got 40 runners, you've got, you know, horses maybe falling in front of you or being impeded. You need a real luck in running to be able to make it to the front. And if he makes any mistakes at all, it's very hard to keep clawing back that deficit, you know, in between the fences. So I know a lot of people fancy him. He did win well last time out and he's put it to the forefront of a lot of people's minds, but he just doesn't jump well enough for me, and I'm not sure he's the ideal type for the race.
It's Chicago Grey from Foyle Dove, who's trying hard to run on well on the near side, but Chicago Grey will hold him off by a couple of lengths.
The final trainer we're going to hear from now is Donald McCain on Ballabriggs, Across the Bay and Weirdow.
Weirdo's got class, yeah. He and he didn't do an awful lot wrong last year till he got down 4 out. The thing with Weirdow, you know, is he has a huge engine, and if you get it right, there's a massive one in him. It would be nice if it's this one, you know, but he either runs a huge race or no race at all, and you don't really know until the day.
And Ballabriggs will always have a special place in D. McCain's heart.
Oh, very much so, yeah. And owes us nothing, but he's in great nick now, and he didn't do an awful lot wrong last year with a huge weight, and he's really well again now, and probably a little bit better than he was this time last year.
And Across the Bay, a bit of an unknown because obviously he's, you know, was in Ireland. You've only had him a couple of years.
Yeah, absolutely. He's done nothing wrong. He's been running some good staying chases this year, and we switched back to hurdles once or twice just because he's been carrying massive weights over fences on bad ground, and came back and won a Grade 2 hurdle race the last day. That form's belting good form, and I don't know if he'll take to the place or not, but he's a good, sensible horse. He stays very well, and if he did take to this place, you know, he could be quite interesting.
Nick, what did you make of Across the Bay? He ran a good race at Haydock, stayed on really well.
Yeah, he did, didn't he? He won the Rendlesham Hurdle, won that really nicely. If the ground came up soft or heavy, I think all this horse's wins have come on that kind of ground. If it did come up soft or heavy, then he'd have a massive chance. But I think you want to look at the weather first. I think if it's good, he might struggle. If it's soft, then he's definitely one to get involved with. But probably the pick of the Don McCain bunch. I mean, horses just don't come back and win this race anymore unless your name's Red Rum. And, you know, he was a once-in-a-lifetime horse. So I can't see Bala Briggs doing it again.
And Ed, could he regain the Grand National?
It'd be the one for the romantics, wouldn't it? I don't know. I just think it may be going back to the well once too often, personally. Weird Al, he is weird. I mean, don't know what to make of him anymore, whether he's gone or whether he's... I don't know what to make of him, really. He just doesn't seem to be the horse he was. So, look, I don't know. None of the Donald McCain runners are particularly appealing to me, I would say. And Bala Briggs, he's got obviously been there and done it, so he knows his way around, but he's getting long in the tooth now, and I just think there'll be something a little bit, some younger legs or just something a little bit more unexposed that will be too good for him. But he won't disgrace himself.
All right, well, finally, I just want you to tell us why you don't fancy a few of the others, so quick word on each of these. Ed, why can't you have Joined Together?
I just don't think he's that good. No specific reason. I'm just not madly keen on him.
Another interesting one, Nick, Balthazar King.
He's come the cross-country route, but that can work because it happened with Silver Birch as well. He's very good round cross-country fences, great jumper, and he's good round park courses as well. Won a good handicap at Cheltenham earlier in the season. Hasn't run for ages. That's not a problem for him because he goes well fresh. Good ground is very, very important to him. If it comes up good...
Yeah, he won't run if it's soft, will he?
No, exactly.
He's pulled out of the cross-country, wasn't he, on the cabin?
Yeah.
Exactly. Soft ground, forget about him, but good ground, yeah, he'd have a right chance.
Yeah. Nick, Sunny Hill Boy?
Yeah, Sunny Hill Boy, we've got to hope he gets over what ailed him at Cheltenham. Of course, he was meant to run in the Gold Cup and didn't. Yeah, not had the ideal preparation this year, not as good as last year when he came into it on the back of a Cheltenham win.
Stone higher as well.
Exactly, higher in the weights too.
Ed Wickhill?
Well,
he come back from that last run?
It was almost too bad to be true. His last run at Kempton, and I think he's had staples in his legs and all sorts. And
he got a bad cut, didn't he?
That's not a Grand National preparation in my eyes, so I'd have to pass him over on that basis.
And an interesting one, Nick, is top weight Imperial Commander.
Paddy Brennan's suspended for the Grand National meeting, which is a big minus for him because Paddy Brennan obviously normally rides this horse, and apparently owners are not even certain to run in this race yet. So not for me, Imperial Commander, especially on the back that, you know, he missed Cheltenham too, so that's not ideal.
Tofino Bayard ran a blinder at Cheltenham, of course.
I mean, very consistent. I'm not sure whether this is the target. I believe, I may be wrong, but they're considering the Irish Grand National as preference over this.
So that's On His Own for you, Nick, and T for 3 each way, and Saint Air and Capabla for you, Ed. Well, thank you for watching. I hope that's helped you with your Grand National selections, and good luck.